The other day, I was charged with explaining crypto without making any kind of pleas to highfalutin technical language or anything. I took that challenge. I thought I had a pretty good place to start and a pretty good place to go to make it relatable, without having any kind of financial background, no technical background, know nothing about it. I think this is fun. I ended up drawing a bunch of stuff and using a lot of metaphors that I like and using some nerdy references to get the point across. So if you want to listen to some, long-haired hippie explain financial things, this is a good place to start. I mean, I'd bet on this as like one of the easiest on-ramps into understanding how crypto has value and why you might hold on to some. Hey, I'm Ben Brown, BR Benji, Nordis Mockwell on Urbit. I have a podcast called Hangout Musicians Podcast. And if you want to support me in that podcast, you can do that for $2 a month. That'll help me continue to make the podcast. I have this newly revamped Patreon that explains things better than it was before. And more importantly, half of what I'm given goes to my favorite charity, Give Directly. Because of this money discussion, we get into inflation and how it hurts like individual people. Give Directly as a way of alleviating that. It's by giving people unconditional money. I love it. I believe in it. I'll kick it over to me from earlier. These like chickens, you can literally hear chickens right now that are sitting inside of our house, little guys. They've been a lot. They're a lot. I'm just going to apologize up front. I guess I might as well show you them. Maybe that can make it worthwhile. Okay, here we go. Enjoy the video. We'll see if I can cut this in. And this is a moment. All right. Good morning. It's that time of the year where the sun is out a little bit earlier, so it's not as dark. Also, I'm just waking up later because I'm lazy and I'm staying up at night and I'm thinking about things. That's what we're going to talk about. First, you should really know that there are 5 chickens over there and they are scratching. We've been growing them since they were chicks, one of them since they were an egg, over the past couple of weeks because, that's what you do in spring. That's what your wife wants to do in springtime. Oh my gosh, chickens. So this household has a dog, a cat, a rabbit, and 5 chickens. Chickens are not going to stay in here. I'm actually building a coop. That's something I've been spending some good time on, good physical labor. So many rocks on this property, so I had to get this huge rock and wedge it with other rocks and just keep on using the shovel to lift it every centimeter until it was all the way up, and then I had to tie it to a tree to make sure it didn't fall on my arm or something. Was able to barely flip it over. It's hardly even out of the way, but it's heavy. It's actually a little bit hot in here. Long sleeve was maybe a bad choice. It was a long weekend. This weekend was a little bit tough. My mind gets stuck on things and I can't let go. It's like a mad dog, right? The topic of the weekend was I had a neighbor approach me and we started talking about how expensive our tiny houses were and recovering financially and all this kind of stuff. I had a conversation that I have many times, which is here's my one sentence answer for investment and whatnot. This is not professional advice. I am not a fiduciary. This is for education, entertainment purposes only. Performances, whatever. I'm not liable. Do everything at your own risk. But yeah, I've got my one sentence. Oh, this is how you invest. Set it, forget it, that kind of thing. Which I've done many times. The question that actually starts getting passed underneath that financial question is well, do you do crypto stuff? And it's I have to answer a tentative yes, very much so. When that comes into play, I have to reevaluate my advice. I was talking about that with my neighbor, and she charged me with the task of, okay, well, next time we meet, explain crypto to me as a person who doesn't know anything about finance or money. And I thought, well, I just had my headphones on. I've been listening to Urbit Radio. I'm learning about shrubs, and it's that's not where my mind at. I'm just I'm making a chicken coop. But of course, it's a topic that I care about. These chickens. Hey. They don't listen. And so, yeah, I took on this goal. I want to take somebody who doesn't have any kind of money background, no technical background, and I want to introduce the concept of Bitcoin from a very friendly place, a very like, practical, like, hey, you actually want this thing in your life. That's where we'll go. Let me make my little intro card thing. We've already gone through hello. Maybe crypto. Crypto 101. This one, unlike others, there's almost a script. We're going to start with dollars. Let's talk about banks. Just to keep it only 3 topics. Glass lockers. That's pretty fun, huh? I need to say goodbye. We're back to Bengal Spice and black tea. Bum, 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 bum. Let's get started. What's the deal with crypto? Did you bother investing in it? What's the thing? We're not going to talk about investing, no, because that's not who I am. This is educational and fun, entertainment, the dollar. Good old American dollar in small, hopefully unintimidating font. It's called inflation. Actually, if I'm going to say it like that, it might as well be written inflation. That's hard to do. Inflation. Well, my graphic skills aside, I have to wonder the question, where does money come from? Like, where does... It sounds so trite. You hear about new money, right? Like you hear about printing money. There's this idea that there's more coming. Where does the new money come from? Where do new dollars come from? This is going to be... It's so funny because I'm walking right through all kinds of deep economic discussions. I'm not certified at all, but I think the world needs a bit more uncertified people who've just thought about something. This is literally what I believe. And so I'm trying to make this as streamlined and as simple as possible. Where does new money come from? When something's like a crisp new dollar, where does that dollar come from? The answer, not a simplified answer, not a qualified answer, nothing like this. The answer is Congress sets a budget every single year. Whoop. Here's an inner circle. I want it to be nice and friendly, even though this is going to illustrate something terrifying. This is an inner circle, and this is spending. This is money going out. Congress sets a budget to spend money. Okay, cool. That's great. I spend money. I just also have to make money. This little line here is going to be income. This is how much money is brought in to pay for the spending. I'm not fully satisfied with this drawing. Blow the sucker up a little bit. And let's say this donut, this is spending. This is how much dollars are actually going to go out of the government. This little bar here, this is income. This is through taxes and whatnot. And we can get all the way to LARP. The income here, the money coming in, is not going to match. And this deficit, this debt, is what's left. Now, if the government actually ended up going all the way with this and not have any kind of debt, then that would mean every single dollar that's outside in the world, sitting in people's bank accounts, those would have to get brought back in. And literally it'd mean nobody has any savings anywhere ever. This is a perfectly fine, perfectly stable position to be in. I'm actually literally not concerned about this debt gap. This thing doesn't, that's whatever. If that stays stable, it's stable and everybody's fine. The concern, the new money, is whenever this debt thing actually increases. And so in our little drawing here, things end up going in this kind of way. And so this little phantom chunk here, this when debt go up, right? That's new money. New money has just entered the world from Congress just being bad at balancing things. They want to solve their problems with more money than they currently had with debt. And so, boom. Debt increase, new money. There's new money. What does that mean? Well, I think everybody feels this now. Everybody is very much feeling this. Come on, milk jug. Come on. Yeah, that's all right. Well, that's pretty close. That's what I was going for. Inflation, everybody feels it right now. Milk was $3. It was $3 like a year ago, and now it's $4 today. That's inflation. Inflation is it takes more money to get the same thing. Because there's more dollars out there and available, you're going to need more of them to get the same thing. We're still making the same amount of stuff. That means their value is the same, but your dollars just got less valuable. It means when you go to the grocery store and you're going to spend $100 and you've been spending $100 for the past couple of months, every month you'll get less and less things with your $100 budget. All right. Yes, I drove that home. Inflation. So the dollar has always been an inflationary money. There's always been more dollars year after year. So far, like the goal of inflation has been to be like plus 3% every year. Right now, we're seeing more like a plus like 7 or 8. Yeah, it's kind of bad. And like, do you expect new money to stop being made? It's not about it being printed. It's just about the government promising to spend money, spending more money than what their debt was before. I don't expect that to slow down. I expect the person printing dollars, every new problem that they come across, they're going to be like, well, we'll solve this. A little bit more money. This means if you have savings, fat stack of dollars sitting in a savings account, every year it drops in value, and the next year, and the next year. If your dollars are just sitting there, they're becoming more and more worthless. This is why you want a savings account that gives you at least like 5%. But even then, like it's dropping in value, but it's doing it less fast than just naked dollars. But like it's not like a huge solution. You'll get told in the future you'll have so much more money, and it's like they don't tell you is, well, that money was going to be pretty dang worthless. Chickens. Really hard to make a video with them. I need to get them in that coop. And so yeah, you might be like, okay, well, yeah, I'll do a bank savings account. Like, I'll accept that. I'll just keep on working, even though my wealth is constantly dropping in value. It's not that bad because of the savings. So like, how safe is your money in the bank? Is like, one of the questions is it there? Is your money even in the bank? And this is going to be a old reference. Bank run scene.
Don't look now, but there's something funny going on over there at the bank, George. I've never really seen one, but that's got all the earmarks of being a run. Why did you call?
I just did, but they said you left. This is a pickle, George. This is a pickle.
All right, now what happened? How did it start?
Well, how does a thing like this ever start? All I know is the bank called our loan.
When?
About an hour ago, I handed over all our cash.
All of it?
Every cent of it, and still was less than we owed them.
Holy mackerel.
And then I got scared, George, and closed the doors.
The whole town's gone crazy.
Yeah, hello? George?
George, I am going all out to help in this.
Now, just remember that this thing isn't as black as it appeared. I have some news for you, folks. I was just talking to old man Potter, and he's guaranteed cash payments to the bank. The bank's going to reopen next week.
But, George, I got my money here.
Did he guarantee this place?
Well, no, Charlie, I didn't even ask him. We don't need Potter over here.
And I'll take mine now.
No, but you're thinking of this place all wrong, as if I had the money back in a safe. The money's not here. Well, your money's in Joe's house. That's right next to yours. And in the Kennedy house, and Mrs. Maitland's house, and 100 others. You're lending them the money to build, and then they're going to pay it back to you as best they can. Now, what are you going to do, foreclose on them?
I got $242 in here, and $242 isn't going to break anybody.
So this is a Wonderful Life American classic. But I think it just demonstrates what's going on in banks. It also like shows like the benefit to it. It's just like, it's really important to understand. Is your money at the bank? Is my money at the bank? If we wanted to get our money, is it there? And the fact is like, no, it isn't. In order for the bank to even pay you an interest in your dollars, they can't let it just sit in the vault. It needs to be going out and getting invested. And then they give you like a little slice of it. you don't have to hold on to all the money that's given to you in the bank. This is an old practice. It's called fractional reserve banking. It means you have terrible handwriting. It means I'm just going too fast. Fractional reserve, I don't know how to draw it. $100 goes into the financial institution, $90 goes out. The attempt to grow, they have to be smart about how they do that. Inside the vault is like $10. Yeah, this is fractional reserve. The money isn't there. If we wanted to get our money, if we were like, hey, I'm really scared about the future, is my money there? It's not. It's not actually in the bank. Banks do this. Insurance does this. It's a defined concept. It's efficient and it's a wonderful life. It's being used kind of like a credit union situation where it's like we're pooling our money together and then we're going to put it into each other's houses and then they're promising to pay back, and that's what it works like. He's setting it up in like the nicest way, but it is like it's definitely like fractional reserve propaganda. And like, yeah, it's a little bit of a house of cards, right? Like there's something really uncomfortable about this. Like this might collapse. This might be a problem. And like the fact is, like if you pay attention to headlines, like banks have been failing. In 2023, we had 5 banks fail. That's more than I would like. What ends up happening is other banks either buy it or the government prints more money and gives it to the bank. And their government spending just went up, so new money was created. And so that becomes inflation. And so we end up paying for it. Yes. Beyond like fractional reserve, there's this control. Just say outside control. There's this kind of just like this weak point in your life, and it is like your bank account. If your bank account goes kaput, you lose a lot of energy in your life. Say you have like a semi-legal business. Say you're selling milk to neighbors. You have a milk cow and you're selling milk to neighbors. That's actually completely illegal. You're not allowed to do that, which is bonkers. If you get discovered, they want you to stop and you don't pay your fee or whatever, like they'll just freeze your bank account, just done. And your perfectly fine business that was like civil disobedience to like show how ridiculous the laws were just got shut down. And it's like, okay, well, it would have been nice if you'd listened to me, okay? If your bank gets frozen, it's just this pinch point. Having somebody being able to just shut you down, especially if it's an entity that is getting old and senile, doesn't have your best interest, and it might be lashing out in like some death throes. It's going to be important to be like resilient, to like maybe given these situations, it might be good to like step back from the bank, to like just not have to bank for a bit, just to be in a stronger position. All right, so we've got the dollar and inflation. We've got banks and their lack of actually having money, and people who have their hands inside of your pockets. This is where we'll introduce crypto. I want to step through those 3 things again and explain how crypto, but really Bitcoin specifically, has an answer for each of those 3 things. And we're going to keep it completely non-technical. Let's do Bitcoin. I'm going to Trojan horse this like swapping of crypto into Bitcoin. Bitcoin, when it comes to inflation, Bitcoin has like an actual set amount of coins. There will never be any more. It is completely like, that's it. It is a literal, unchanging block. Bitcoin has an answer for inflation, which is to say, you just don't inflate it. You just make the money and then you just let it be. All right, weird. We haven't done that yet. Maybe we should give it a shot. For fractional reserve, Bitcoin kind of alleviates the idea and the issue of fractional reserve by making it so that you don't need a bank. You don't have to keep your money there. Let's just say that. You don't need to save with a bank. The whole, I'm going to put my money in a bank account because that's a safe place to put it, is just not necessary. So like as like a sneak peek of like the next thing of just like control, you get to control it. It's you. There's no oversight group. There's no like system of banks that's going to watch all the money and control it and decide whether it can move or can't move and who has control over the key to the lock to get into the vault where there's literally no money. Everything shifts to giving the individual control. Let's return to this like not needing a bank idea. Why did we need banks in the first place? In the good old days, gold was just heavy, just freaking heavy. And so like we all like pretty quickly really converged on putting it in a bank in a safe place, kind of like a neutral zone to watch after it. Let's do this trailer for Hidden Fortress.
お前たちは何をしておる？いや、山の N 軍というのは余市。金200貫。この国では宝の持ち腐れだが。いや。
Okay, so why do we need banks? Oh, my brain. Let me get some nerd cred here. So why do we need banks? There's this movie, a Akira Kurosawa film called Hidden Fortress. I'm aware of it because Star Wars is apparently based off of this. In the film, spoilers to Hidden Fortress, R2-D2 and C-3PO, these characters, are in the evil empire, and they need to escape with the princess who is being escorted by some powerful knights. They need to escape, but the princess's empire has completely collapsed, and she needs all of the gold that was in her treasury to set up shop in a nearby friendly country so that she can start from scratch and rebuild her dynasty. But the trick is, like, the treasury is gold, and these, like, gold rush fools, this R2-D2 C-3PO characters, they are conscripted to try to transport all of this gold. And the gold is like so heavy and it causes such a mess, like just like moment after moment. Like they had to like put the gold inside of tree limbs and it makes the sticks like way too heavy and they end up like burning all the sticks, and then like the gold ends up like getting like put into like melted plates, and they put that in a bunch of saddles and the saddles are too heavy and they had to get a bunch of horses and they move it across, and it is such a mess to move gold over a border, to not have somebody take it from you, where it would be huge to be able to cross a border and then have all of the wealth that you had before, but transporting it is so difficult. Anyways, gold's freaking heavy. Pretty quickly as a civilization, we just converged on the fact that it's like, okay, this is going to be better to just sit in a vault. We'll entrust the goldsmith, and the goldsmith will keep records and receipts, and he'll just say like, you have this much gold, and then if you want to transfer accounts, like here's some receipts that you can. And then it's like the paper receipts end up being like really nice, lighter weight and easier to move around and easier to divide up into pieces, which is like not the same for the physical stuff. Heavy AF gold, right? Come on. Seeing how we like moved from gold to like paper receipts, which is, that obviously that's dollars in the end. What if all of your wealth, all of that gold, everything was as light as a password, and you had direct control to move that money or that gold directly? Like you had the key to the vault and you were able to send it wherever you needed to send it. Like that would be powerful. That would actually be a step in a direction that we enjoy, right? In that scenario, you just work directly with people. You wouldn't need bank. Look at bank. You don't need it. It would just be one person with a password, another person with a password. You're just going to interact with each other. That's it. No bank. No need for bank. No. So this is like how Bitcoin and even like crypto at large actually solves that issue of like external control over your money. Not having to put it in the bank can help with fractional reserve, but it also moves into this like control level where it's just like, this is your money. You're the only one who has access to it and you can move it around. Very powerful tool for individual freedom. I think that is clear at this point. There's like a hanging question, but wait, I need bank? So this is an astute question. I just explained that we need bank because of how heavy gold is. I'm not dealing with gold. Nobody's trading with gold. We've evolved, right? Yes, basically. We still need banks, and we need banks because we've gone completely digital. Like it's a lot of work to track every single dollar as it moves around the world through bank accounts. It's really, really difficult to track track all of those dollars. And you have to have a bunch of like very sophisticated coordination between different banks whenever they move things. Because once something is digital, it's incredibly easy to just duplicate it. In fact, like we haven't had a properly digital dollar because it's so easy to kind of lose track and have somebody like spin the dollar twice. This like kind of meticulous tracking of the dollars kept us in the need of a bank or this huge elaborate banking system so that we know where every single dollar is. But this makes it even more clear, like Bitcoin shows up and Bitcoin figures out exactly how to track digital money and let anyone to have an account and to be able to basically have their own keys to their own vault and have the money exchange hands in a way that like keeps it set, keeps it all track of. Because like boring tracking numbers, knowing where things are, like that's computer stuff. It's a computer thing. But like so far it's just really hard to coordinate all the computers, and Bitcoin figured out how to do it. Bitcoin figured out how to make sure nobody is spending anything twice or spending something that they don't have. That is the breakthrough. That's what's important. With that new tech, you don't have to have a bank track everything. So now, you know, we definitely don't need a bank. Definitely don't need a bank. All right. So inflation, that's like everybody's feeling the pain of that. The fractional reserve kind of risk that like the money just isn't actually there. And then also just like personal control. Bitcoin answer these things. I think these are the things that affect your life. I think it's the things that actually matter to understand. And I think this is the foundation of why Bitcoin has value. Wait. How do we best think about Bitcoin? What's a good mental model, something that's not technical and isn't going to involve talking about cryptography and blockchains and whatever. We're putting that all aside. And I want you to imagine something. In your mind, I want you to picture your high school. Picture the hallways and hallways of lockers. We are going to contemplate these lockers for a second. This is big lockers. Let's think about these lockers for a second. Contemplate the locker. So every single locker had a public number printed onto the locker, little metal plates. Everyone ended up getting a secret code that they could enter into the locker with the little knobby things to open it up. Right, you're in control of that locker. The locker doesn't really care who has that code, but supposedly only the owner of the locker has that code. It was a way to have this incredibly public space and give you a little box so that you could put your private stuff and own stuff in that big public space. All right? Okay, we'll make this a little bit more fanciful. And now imagine that every one of these lockers is actually made out of glass. So when you walk down and you look at these lockers, you see their little addresses. You can't open up any of them except for yours, but you can see exactly what is inside of all of these glass lockers. Chickens! Doing really good. Also for this metaphor, let's assume that the only thing in all of these lockers is a school spirit coin. It's just a stack of this coin. Maybe if you have a certain number of coins, you get a free period in your senior year. Or maybe if you have a certain number of coins, you can get entered into a raffle to win is it a Thunderbird Mustang? I remember some kind of drawing that we could have won a Thunderbird Ford. You're going to want a school spirit coin. It's worthwhile. Also for our little imagination here, we're going to imagine that coins are transferred magically. When somebody is willing to send somebody else spirit coin, all they have to do is go to their locker and enter in their code. The agreement will be fulfilled. A turny, flippy thing, and then boop, boop, then it magically, gets moved out. Gringotts style. With these school coins being valuable, throughout the year, you may find yourself wanting to trade favors and homework, Pokemon cards, like whatever, for these school coins. In this scenario where you have glass lockers, you have this valuable coin that can get traded around, nobody can take it from anybody. And the fact that they're glass lockers means that you can make trades with full confidence because you can just go over to that person's locker and see oh yes, they do have this amount of coins. Like, this will go through if we make an agreement. And so in that case, like, you could even make a trade with somebody you never met. Like, you could get a note on your locker. All you need is their locker number, and you'd be able to enter in the code and send it off. Like, I don't know, maybe you get blackmail where it's like, you got to send me 15 spirit coin or I'll tell your girlfriend what you did yesterday. And you could do that. What a great world. Hopefully that clicks. That helps me understand it. Let me like throw things out here. The metal plate that says the locker number, that's going to be a public address in the crypto world. And this locker code is called your private key. And this is very important. The locker does not care who has the private key. It has no idea who you are. It just knows if anybody has the private key, they can get in. This becomes paramount. If this gets out, that's it. Literally whoever has the keys has that money. You got to protect that. That's a story for a different time. That takes responsibility. That's like a big thing. Earlier, like I said, spirit coin, school spirit coin, it can get you stuff, and that's why you want it, right? But like, why want Bitcoin? Ultimately, whenever you talk about people wanting Bitcoin, it's an extreme position. It's an extremist thing. Basically, you have to be saying, I think we've been doing it wrong. I don't think this actually works. I don't think that the people who have control should have control. This is a very extreme position. Maybe I'm getting into something personal here, but like, I fully believe inflation, as it stands today, actively hurts people. The really harsh way of putting it is that it is secretly stealing from people. That when banks fail, the solution is to cause more inflation. So you're basically siphoning that money out of the general population to put a like money band-aid on a huge boo-boo. Why Bitcoin? Well, Bitcoin has an answer for these three things. That inherent value proposition is going to, I think, cross over to more and more people. It started with individuals. And I think ultimately every financial entity is going to want to put some Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Like, and even if that's just like 1%, if you get Harvard and Princeton, all these private colleges, you get every single country, every US state, every like private and public business, they're going to want to have a slice of Bitcoin just to hold on to. Its value proposition is so much stronger than anything else that they could purchase. And let me like encourage you, like you're probably looking at Bitcoin at its current price and it's like, dang, I wish I had gotten in early. And I would have to say, like, this hasn't happened yet. Every entity, every insurance company, every bank, for however long they last, they're going to want to like purchase Bitcoin. It's still early. Like, calm down, take what money you can per month and like give it a shot, get a handle of it. But it's like, you're going to need to learn a lot more about like security, holding onto the private keys, making sure nobody else gets your locker code. Learn more about it. You have some time. I legitimately don't think it's going to go away. In sum, looking at all those things, do you believe that there was a chance that we've been doing money wrong? Do you believe that inflation hurts people? Or that like banks mismanage our money and that it would be better if we took personal control? Because if you do, that feels like something that would put us into a better world. There's something that you can buy and it's very valuable. There's only 21 million of it. One of those 21 million is worth $65,000 today. Really dive into this stuff. Find your own personal conviction for Bitcoin and invest in it accordingly, like proportionally. I also don't think that you want to like have 100% of everything in Bitcoin. Like, I've got my other kind of investing things like in companies and stocks and whatnot. That's it. That's my beginner friendly, here's everything that you're already familiar with, and Bitcoin makes us a better situation for money. I hope that helps out. I get like a little bit like fluttered and excited whenever I think about the possibility with Bitcoin, and it makes me antsy and sometimes I lose sleep, but like, I don't think that that's necessary. I think this is the time to just, you're playing keep away. Chickens, man. Chickens. There's so much going on. Wow. I guess I might as well show you them, so maybe that can make it worthwhile. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Video is going to go off. Okay, now video is back on. So this is my like setup. Hey, Nellers. You can see Nico. There's Nico, our rabbit. This is my setup. Microphone's usually there. Camera there. My battery that's caused so many problems. The remarkable. That's probably too much sausage. Is the cat around? Ah! Ah! Oh my gosh. That was so dangerous. I could have lost everything. All right, chickens. Here we go. Okay, you guys are show chickens now. Whoa. That one's Scully. Snoop just flew the coop. That's Martha. That's Esri. And that's Dax. Uh-oh. And now here's the cat. And that's frickin' Nova. Okay. Man, this is getting too dangerous. I'm going to lose everything. It's going to be terrible. So, yep, there's a dog, there's a cat, there's a rabbit. 5 chickens. 5 chickens. 5 chickens. All right. Well, before any disasters strike, I'm gonna call it there. Okay. Have a good one. Bye.